Hello, friends. Today's episode is brought to you by From Within Records. The third installment of the From Within Records newsletter is out now. If you're not subscribed, please go click the link in their bio, enter your email, and please subscribe to the newsletter. They're doing awesome stuff with that. Also, Who Laughs Last just joined the From Within roster, a new band out of Louisville. They put out such an awesome 8-track demo. If you're a fan of early 2000s hardcore, this is for you. So please do yourself a favor, hit pause, go boot up your Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Bandcamp, Tidal, whatever, and go stream the demo from Who Laughs Last. It's honestly really good. And if you're not subscribed to the From Within Records podcast, please go boot up Spotify, click that subscribe button, and stay up to date with all the current episodes. And like I always say, please support From Within Records because they support us. If you're looking for high quality merch for your band or for your business, please hit up my friends over at Good Fortune Printing out of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. You can follow them on Instagram at Good Fortune Printing. If you want to get in contact with them, please email them, contact@goodfortuneprinting.com. You can thank me later. Before we get into today's guests, we have a KCON update. I was fortunate enough to secure a premium ticket to day 2, which is the only day I really wanted to go to because I was crossing my fingers. I'm like, okay, give me Espa, NMIX, Isna, and Meow on one day so I don't have to stress about going to any of the other days. And the KCON gods were listening. And I got everything I wanted except for Meow on the main stage, but Meow will be performing inside the convention, which is really awesome. And if it's anything like NMIX and Stacy like last year, we're going to get a pretty good set. They're obviously going to play their latest single, Hands Up, and I'm hoping they play their song Meow. But we should get 4 songs. We're probably not going to get the whole set because they're playing the arena on Sunday. So we probably won't get the same amount of songs. But who knows? Because the arena, the sets aren't that long. But Saturday is going to be epic. We got Meow in the con. And then when it's time to head to the arena, we have Monsta X, Espa, Oogie from Idol, Isna, which I'm so excited for. We get to see Jimin live, Coco, Mai. It's going to be amazing. And also NMIX. I have this like I feel like it's not a KCON if I don't see NMIX. So I'm so excited to see them again because they just progressively get better. And I'm just very excited. So shout out to KCON Day 2 being amazing. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But on today's episode, we had to track down our good friend, Jared Barron. Plays drums for a lot of good bands out of Louisville. But the one band that I really wanted to talk to him about was his band, 97 Flood. It's not hardcore. It's just some good alternative music. When I listened to it, it really reminded me of 2 bands in particular. And I mentioned this to him in the episode. It just really reminded me of North Star and Boys Night Out. That's all that came to my mind when I listened to this band. So I think part of me, was just really excited to discover a new band that resonated with me because it just felt like it's been something that I've been listening to for a very long time, even though they're a brand new band. So I was very happy that Jared was down to take the time to come on the podcast and talk about his journey through playing music. And we get to talk some personal stuff, which is always fun. But more importantly, we get to talk about 97 Flood. That was a real treat for me, and I'm dying to see them live. I love that band. I listen to them literally every day. So I'm looking forward to seeing them live in the future. But this was a fun one for me. I love Louisville, and it's cool that every time I go there, I'm just able to, strengthen these relationships. So it's cool that I'm able to actually call Jared a friend. That's awesome. So it's fun for me. We got a lot of Louisville podcasts coming up. That's a little spoiler for anyone who's listening. But this one was awesome. If you're not familiar with 97 Flood, I highly suggest you hit pause, go boot up your Spotify, your Tidal, your Bandcamp, your YouTube, whatever, and go listen to Places on a Side Road. It's awesome. Front to back. It's really fun. Go to their YouTube, go watch their music videos. That's something that I had a lot of fun doing too, is just getting to see their art that way. I love when bands do music videos. It's very special. But do all that and then come back here and listen to Jared and I talk about a lot of cool things. I really appreciate the conversation. It was fun for me, and I hope it's fun for all of you. So please strap in, enjoy this conversation. And without further ado, welcome Jared Barron to the show.
1, 2, 3. As it enters slowly, we're all that you see.
All right, and we're recording. Welcome to the podcast. How's it going?
Doing well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you thinking that I'm cool enough, or I have enough interesting stuff to talk about to have me on here.
I've been to Louisville 3 times at this point, and like Tyler Short, he's like my anchor, right? He was like my first like actual friend there. So it's nice to have gone this most recent time and be able to talk to more people, because I love Tyler, but it's cool to finally just to kind of put like these weird puzzle pieces together, because obviously like I said, I started with Tyler, but then I kind of know most of his like social circle, but not actually like know them. I just kind of just know who they are as people. But as time has gone on, like I've got to know more people, so it's nice. So I'm happy that we've been able to be friends on social media. I obviously saw you last time I was there, but I'm a fan of your band, so I'm happy to have another person from your scene on the podcast.
He's definitely an anchor of this scene for sure. I've never seen someone support so many different bands and mosh for so many different bands, like an entire show, multiple shows. He just moshes, he just has fun. So I'm glad that he was your anchor, and I'm glad that you got to come out and that you're enjoying the people that you're talking to and meeting. I think the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, was the first time that we met, was that the first LDB showcase, or was that the pre-show for LDB last year? I feel like it was at Portal, wasn't it?
Yeah, honestly, I think it had to have been the pre-show last year.
Yeah, that was probably it, honestly.
So, and honestly, like I'm antisocial. So like a lot of people probably look at me and might get the wrong idea, but it's like legitimately I'm just antisocial. I'm like, I just have like very low social energy.
You're preaching to the choir. I deal with that so much. Like sometimes I'll go out and my social battery will be shot before I even walk in wherever I'm going, and I feel like you probably deal with the same thing, where you're overthinking and you're worried that people just think you're just you're just an asshole. You don't want to talk to anyone, or you think you're better than everyone else. But I'm right there with you. Like, yeah,
and that's definitely not the case, because like what like I'm like, for me, I'm just happy to be in Louisville and get to hang out with like the friends that I barely get to see. Obviously, like I talk to Tyler a lot because we do the podcast, but I only get to see him a couple times a year. So when I'm there, I'm very happy to see him and other people like Jim Barron, Dave Bogger. It's always awesome to see them. But
All the fellas.
yeah, but I'm just very happy to be able to just be a fly on the wall, right? Because I'm just an outsider, coming into your guys' scene. So for me, I'm just very just excited to experience it, because for me it's something new. Like I said, I've only been out there 3 times, but I've been involved in hardcore for so long. But your guys' scene is just very new to me, so I just like to kind of just go and just observe. And like I'm happy to talk to people. Like I don't mind talking to people, but I'm just not the most social person.
Yeah, there's a lot to soak in too when coming into a new scene and seeing how violent or not violent it can be, and things like that, and crews and cliques and all that other shit. So once again, I'm glad that he was the one that brought you in. I feel like that's kind of perfect from your perspective, because we all trust Tyler. It's not like we're like, who's this guy he's bringing in? I don't know how to feel about that. It's one of the handful of things that I consider myself very lucky to be able to experience and be a part of this team, is how welcoming it is.
Yeah, I haven't had like a bad time or like any bad interactions with anybody. Everybody, I think everybody just knows that, okay, like this is like that Tyler's weird friend that pops up every now and then, and I'm completely fine with that. It's like, hey, yeah, like I'm just here because I at the fest, I help them run the LDB records table while Ashton and Tyler are off doing whatever. And like when I'm there, it's just so funny when I see like some of their local friends come up, and they're always like kind of like hesitant, like who the heck is this guy behind the table? Because like I know like they're expecting to see like someone that they know and not some random guy from California.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I'm happy to go back. I can't wait to go back. So yeah, it's always a good time. I just had this like funny like full circle moment like last weekend, because back in the day, had this friend Natalie. I don't even know where Natalie is. Natalie, if you're out there, I hope you're doing all right. But she was living out here in California, but she would always go to Midwest Blood, right? And I'm just like, who, like, why are you going out there? Like, what's out there?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, like, trust me, like, it's awesome. You should go. And she like, even like back in the day, I'll have to show you before we get off here, but she gave me like this like old Knock Loose shirt that's just like hanging back here in my closet. And she was,
I got to see which one it is, because I have a couple of gyms myself.
Okay. Yeah. I'll show you to you, but she was always like pumping up like how cool it was out there before it was even a thing. And I was always just like, oh, like maybe one day. But I just didn't get it. Right. But now that I've been a couple times this past weekend, I went to a show, and this younger kid came up to me, and he was asking me, he's like, hey, why weren't you at RBS? Like, why did you go to LDB? Like, what's out there? And I just thought about it. I'm like, wow, like that was me a couple of years ago talking to Natalie, asking her that same exact thing. And I just told the kid, I'm like, you know what? One day you'll get it. And I had LDB already planned before RBS was even announced. Like, obviously all my friends up in the Bay, they all know that I love them, and I would have loved to have been there, but LDB was already planned before that was announced. So there was, no way I could just cancel and not go.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty easy to do with most fest that you haven't been to. Being on the outside looking in, not really, whether it be not understanding the appeal, or not really knowing any of the bands, or just like wondering why someone's traveling halfway across the country to go to a fest when there's one happening like right on your own soil. So yeah, I definitely get that.
Yeah, and I just cannot get over it, because I was just thinking like, wow, that was me.
It made you realize why you're doing it. Like, you may have not, you probably thought about it, but that question right there made you, I guess, realize, right?
Yeah, maybe. And just made me realize, like, I wasn't familiar with what was going on in Louisville at the time, but there's always been something cool going on out there. So,
well, I'm glad you're having a good time, and I hope to see you again soon.
Now I'm curious about you. Were you born and raised in Louisville?
Yeah, born, raised Louisville. I've lived my entire life in Oldham County. The house I'm in now actually is 5th generation home, which I'm very, very fortunate to have. But yeah, I've spent my entire, I guess you could call, music career out here in Louisville. I've seen it go through a lot, and I haven't always necessarily been a part of the hardcore scene. I was doing more like metalcore and like softer stuff growing up. I only recently got into playing in hardcore bands this past year or so. When I parted ways with Gates a couple years back, like the same day, Jim had asked me to join Two Witnesses because at the time Trey was drumming for Two Witnesses, and then he joined Gates, so we did like a flip flop. And I was just, before even meeting any of them, I was just happy to have that high energy outlet and be able to play hardcore, play softer stuff, still have like a metalcore hardcore band, just be able to have all my creative outlets. It's nice. So
that's crazy that you guys just switched places, you and Trey.
Yeah, we really did, because Trey was filling in for Gates. I had quite a bit of medical stuff going on. I ended up having my gallbladder removed. I got cannabinoid hyperemesis. I don't know. It's been so long. It's essentially, I can't smoke weed. Like, I spent 10 to 15 years smoking weed almost every day. And then my body one day was just like, yeah, we're not going to do this anymore. And I was in and out of the hospital for a year and a half, trying to figure out what was going on. Finally figured out that my gallbladder was running at like 3% when it's supposed to run at 34. Got that removed, thought I was good to smoke again. No, got sick all over again. So that was essentially what happened with me departing from Gates, is they didn't want to lose momentum. So we did the good old switcheroo. That
is insane. Is that like rare? Because I've never heard of that before.
It's apparently it's becoming more common with states where it's recreational, or just anywhere where you're getting higher amounts of THC or wax or concentrates. But up until then, I had no idea about it.
And so, were you devastated when you found out that it was because of the weed?
I mean, yeah, it wasn't. I guess in a sense it was kind of devastated, because whether I want to admit it or not, like that was my personality. It was just like, hold on, let me smoke before this, or like, hold on, let's smoke. It was just, that's how I had a lot of my relationships were based around just hanging out and smoking weed. So it was a massive change, because once I stopped smoking, all of my chemical imbalances in my brain that I had been suppressing for 15 years kind of smacked me in my face. So it was a lot at once. But I'm glad that I don't smoke anymore, to be honest with you, because the conversations are so much more meaningful. My thought process is a lot clearer. I remember a lot of other stuff. I feel like I'm not always just like stuck in my head. I'm not always anxious in social situations. So it's a blessing in disguise, honestly. And the only thing that, sorry,
go ahead. No, that's fine.
The only thing that, the only other thing that really sucked about it was, I kind of had to teach myself to fall in love with playing music all over again, because, I'd spent so many years smoking weed and playing drums that like more often than not, when I stepped away from the drums, I was like, hell yeah, that was awesome. I had a good time. And then once I stopped smoking, it was more often me stepping away from the drums, not being satisfied, and I had to like retrain my brain and like remind myself constantly that I'm not going to step away from the drums every time, at 100% being like, that was awesome, I can't wait to get back to it. But I'm slowly learning. Well, I mean, I still love it, but I guess it was a different concept to me. But I'm starting, it's been a little over 2 years since I've smoked, so I'd say I have it figured out now. It's just it's harder to not be so hard on myself when it comes to how well I play, how well I did during the set now, rather than just being stoned and not thinking about it.
Wow. So you care more.
Blessing and a curse, because I am so hard on myself. It's annoying. It's annoying at times, for sure.
Huh. Wow. Maybe I should pay a little more attention, because I watch you play live, and I feel like you're a pretty solid drummer. I can't remember any like blatant mistakes or a time where I thought you didn't play well.
Well, I appreciate that. I feel like it's more so me focused on not messing up and me focusing on the parts rather than muscle memory, getting lost in the song and having fun without worrying about messing up.
Okay.
I'd say that's the biggest difference.
Okay, so you got to find that balance of less pressure to perform and try to enjoy it a little more.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've done recently that's really helped is the moment I step away from drums after playing a set, I spend like 5 to 10 minutes by myself and not necessarily gas myself up, but like remind myself that I'm lucky to be here, that I have been playing drums for 21 plus years, that I do deserve most of the things that I've been able to attain with music, and just to give myself a little bit more grace.
Yeah, well, you're literally doing what people want, right? There, I always see people saying, "Oh, put down the cameras, go learn how to play the drums. We need more drummers in hardcore."
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that did the opposite. I picked up the camera and not the drums.
Well, we always need documentation as well. That's I don't want you to downplay that at all, because that is very important. But it has gotten a little out of hand with how many phones you see in the crowd rather than the people living in the moment, which is, I guess, I feel like a boomer when I say that, but it's so true. Like I remember going to shows when I was 16 and there wasn't a phone in sight because everyone had Razors or Blackberries. No one had an iPhone. Everyone was living in the moment, enjoying the song and just being there, rather than posting 27 Instagram stories for one day at a fest or for one show, just so everyone knows that they were there.
Yeah, last year I filmed this Scarab clip, right? And I just posted the reel like I do with like what stuff that I always film, and didn't think anything of it. And it gained a lot of traction. And going into the fest this year, but I got people messaging me like, "Oh, like what's going to be the clip of the year this time?" And I'm just like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Like when I filmed that Scarab reel that went, pretty popular. Like I didn't do that with the intention of it getting popular. The only reason why.
Wait, was that the one where the guy got fucking smoked? He got dragged back.
Yeah. The only reason why I filmed that was because I had a previous Scarab reel, because I'm just a huge fan of Scarab. Some of those guys are my friends.
Solid band.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of that band, and the first reel that I had on my Instagram was like when they were like newer, so I just wanted to help get the word out about them. And it was like almost a year later. So I'm like, let me just post a refresh, do a new one. And then that one just like went crazy, and like, yeah, people were just like bothering me about what I was going to film this year. And that's why like I like barely even pulled my phone out, like when I was just like out there. Like I took photos of like my friends after their sets, and I post like a little like clips here and there, but I wasn't like ever going there with the sole intention of like, all right, I gotta get another clip.
I'm trying to think if I posted a single set or posted a clip from a single set. Maybe Basement, because I hadn't seen Basement. Maybe, but I definitely did my best to just live in the moment. I feel like when people ask you that question, they may not necessarily understand that right place, right time.
Yeah.
Like you just so happen to pull out your phone. You just so happen to be recording maybe your favorite part of the set, and then you catch gold. You're not like planning anything out.
Yeah, I didn't, and I never do, because like it's just I just try to capture like what I think is cool and post it to the people that follow me, and hope that they enjoy it too, or help. Like my intention is always like, okay, maybe people might not be in tune, or they might not know, so let me just post it here to help them, because I'm just like, I'm trying to spread.
Well, what was that? What was Scarab's first EP? I'm terrible with names and like EP names, album names, song names. That first EP was a fucking powerhouse of an EP.
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
I'm drawing a blank too. Let me pull it up. It's you're talking about the one with the blue cover, right?
Yeah, Seeking Chaos and Revenge After Betrayal. I think that was it.
Yeah, that's.
Well, no, that wasn't the first one then. Well, no, yeah, that was the first full EP that they put out. Yeah, that thing was a powerhouse.
Yeah. Crazy band, but
yeah,
same here. Like there's a show that I think back fondly of, and it was Fury. They had their record release for Paramount, and I was like working at a comic book shop across town, and I had to like rush to the show just so I could catch Fury. I think I missed the majority of the show, but for some reason nobody filmed the show, and it wasn't like this like intentional thing. People were just like vibing, and I think like the one person with the camera, their like battery died, and it was like this crazy circumstance, but like nobody filmed it. So we like everybody who was there, we just like talk about it, and we're like, wait, where's the footage? How come nobody like filmed it? But it was like, it was just
See,
like
that's the very important. That's the very important side of documenting is, like for that reason right there, for being able to look back on it fondly.
Yeah,
but it's gotten out of hand.
100%. Yeah, like
that fucking Have you seen? I'm sure you've seen photos from the first Pigpen show.
No, but I know
videos from the whole entire front row is photographers. It looks like it's at some like 80 cap room, and the entire front row is like they're essentially blocking off what anyone else can see. It's just all photographers. Yeah. And seeing that kind of frustrated me. But I mean, I get it, but it's like people that actually want to enjoy it are just kind of like blocked by the wall.
Yeah, it's like, all right, you gotta enjoy the view behind the row of photographers, which is insane.
The flashing lights.
How did you end up playing the drums, versus any other instrument?
There's not much that I didn't try at a young age and give up. Drums was something that I picked up at the age of 10 and kind of just didn't give up. I stopped everything else I was doing. I tried sports. I tried guitar, and I don't know if it was just always had a sense of rhythm or always heard drums more. They just stood out to me in whatever I was listening to. I think that had a lot to do with it. So, I mean, I feel like it's pretty standard. My like top tier drummers that got me into drumming would be like Aaron Gillespie.
Okay.
For the flashiness, Tommy Lee, but then Joey Jordison, Travis Barker. Travis Barker was a big one for me. It was that's still probably to this day one of my top 3 bands would be Blink-182.
Yeah, saw the tattoo on your arm, right?
Yeah. It's one of the first ones I got.
Yeah, I got into them late. Like I honestly got into them in like 2020, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's the first physical record that I picked up was their self-titled, and I played that until it was absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, great band. I've yet to see them live.
I haven't seen them live either.
Yeah,
and I feel like it's one of those things where if I do see it live, I'm going to be kind of bummed. Like I wish I would have been able to see them at like, was it like 2001 or like 99 at the Big Day Out? Like that would have been so sick to see them then. That's how I feel with Slipknot. Like if I would have been able to see them in that same era, that'd be crazy. I finally got to see them at Sick New World last year, and that was cool, but it definitely wasn't the same.
Yeah, there's I'm a huge Fall Out Boy fan, and they were on tour for Take This to Your Grave, and I've told this story before, so people who've heard it before, I apologize, but they were on tour with Matchbook Romance, and there was this girl that lived on the same block as me. Her name was Vicky, or Victoria. That was her real name, but she went by Vicky. She listened to that type of music, and she knew that I like Fall Out Boy. So she asked me, she's like, hey, like my mom's taking me to see Fall Out Boy after school. Do you want to go? So I was so stoked. And I asked my mom, and my mom said no. She's like, I'm not going to let you go to San Diego to see some band with some girl and her mom that I don't know. And I'm like, Mom, you don't understand. This is Fall Out Boy, Take This to Your Grave. It's not going to happen again. Like, please.
Yeah.
And my mom was such a hater, and she wouldn't let me go, which I understand. Like, like she's not gonna let her youngest kid go off with some strangers, to like a faraway city. Like I get it, but at the same time, I wish she just would have been a reckless parent and let me go, because I probably would have had like one of the best nights of my life. Because I still think back and I'm like, fuck, like I had the opportunity to see like Fall Out Boy in like one of their like greatest eras ever, but my mom just shut that down.
I think about that exact situation makes me think about not seeing Under Oath in their Define the Great Line era, because that's another record for me that is pretty important. They played, that's like one of the few shows that my grandparents didn't take me to. I grew up with my grandparents, and they were awesome. They were taking me like 30, 45 minutes away to venues and just dropping me off for like 4 or 5 hours, and they're coming picking me up and just letting me experience it all, which is crazy. But there's definitely a handful of times where I couldn't see pivotal bands, but I think there's more times that I can remember of seeing bands that I really wanted to see, and that was absolutely just a war zone. Like seeing Cruel Hand in 2016, I want to say at a venue down here called Keswick's. I think 2016. My memory on that's blurry, but you were either beating ass or you were up against the wall getting your ass beat. Just crazy shit like that. First time seeing Ymir Goodbye to Gallows era 2010, that was wild. I was like probably 16 years old maybe, and just a bunch of grown ass men beating the shit out of each other, just terrifying. But yeah, so I would consider myself fortunate when it comes to that, being able to see bands when I was younger. There's a lot of bands I got to see. Suicide Silence with Mitch, which was crazy. So many shows.
R.I.P. Mitch.
Yeah, I saw the Chariot 3 or 4 times. I didn't realize what I had. Like, I was just young and experiencing it. And now looking back on it, I was like, I really got to see a lot of stuff that people would have killed to see.
Yeah, it's funny when I talk to some of these younger kids and I forget. I'm like, oh shit, like you weren't even alive when this show like went down. Like there was this kid at LDB and I forgot his name, but he gave me his contact info because I got to mail him this shirt. So I hope he doesn't think that I forgot, but I will mail him the shirt. But I saw him like the first day of the fest, and he was wearing like a Reign Supreme shirt, and and
you were like,
well, no, I love Reign Supreme. You know, the last time I wore a Reign Supreme shirt, I was in Philly, and all my Philly friends were like clowning on me.
I think I saw that shirt too, but like at that age, you kind of question it. It's badass, but you can't help but to question.
Yeah, so I asked him, I'm like, yo, like, where'd you get that shirt? Because it was probably like my favorite Reign Supreme design ever, and he's like, oh, my stepdad gave this to me. I'm like, your stepdad, what the hell? Like, I'm fucking old, right? So whatever. So fast forward to day 2. Now he's wearing this like this Brace War like tour tee, and on the back it was like Brace War, Think I Care, Attitude. It was like a 2006 summer tour, and I'm like, that was from your stepdad too. And he's like, yeah. He's like, dude, he's like, yeah, my stepdad has like the sickest merch. And I'm like, why isn't he here? Like, I want to meet him. This is insane. So then we got to start like talking about what bands he likes, and he mentioned that he loves the Mongoloids. So I have this like Edge Day 07 shirt that I told him like, yo, like I've been looking to give this to like somebody who would appreciate it, and I think that's you. And he was like, fuck yeah, like I'm so stoked. So yeah, so I got to mail him this Mongoloid shirt. But it was insane.
It definitely is cool seeing kids half your age wearing stuff like that, where it's like you barely saw that era, and they're like just learning about it all and visiting it, and it's still inspiring them to this day. It's really cool to see.
100%. You mentioned Under Oath. Did you get to see them when they were touring? They're Only Chasing Safety.
No, I think the one and only time I saw them was Warped Tour 2009. I want to say. In Cincinnati.
Warped Tour.
Yeah.
Warped Tour is coming back kind of this year.
I don't know how to feel about it.
I think that they see, how these other festivals are doing and how successful they are, and they're probably like, wow, like we gave up our position and like that's what like came of it. Like we should try because Warped Tour was cool. I enjoyed Warped Tour.
Yeah, very, very fond memories. It's just hard for me to not think that it's going to be a bunch of older people our age, like not built for that type of fest, being out all day in the heat, getting sunburned, breathing in dust and shit like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the first time I saw Knock Loose was on Warped Tour.
Yeah, that's one of my that's a very fond memory that I have, was seeing them on the Full Sail stage. It's the first time I saw them at Warped Tour. Yeah,
because I was working Warped Tour. Shout out to my buddy Danny. This is back when I was trying to be like a merch person, and he got us this gig. We were doing merch for Falling in Reverse, and I was like, hey, there's like a couple of bands I want to see. And my buddy Danny's like super chill. He was like, yeah, do whatever you want. So I went and watched Knock Loose. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's that's probably the band that I've seen the most, and they never cease to amaze me. It's crazy. Even 10 years later, I got the opportunity to drum tech for them at their release weekend here, and that was crazy being on that side and just watching the machine run and seeing how it runs, and having the pack, having the in-ears, and like hearing the playback and hearing the cues and the talk back and everything else. It just, first night gave me anxiety. I was just like, holy shit, this is diabolical. It's crazy, super proud, but also terrifying to think about.
Yeah, I think that, it's cool that they're able to show the entire genre, like, hey, there's no ceiling to this.
Mm-hmm.
So
quite literally doing whatever they want, and it's awesome.
Yeah. You have to respect what they're doing. It's sick.
Yeah, anyone who says I understand not liking them is one thing, but to not understand or not, to think they don't deserve to be where they are is absolutely insane.
Yeah, haters is what I think. I think they are at that point,
Yeah, honestly.
So you play in some good bands. I'm
Thank you.
Curious about Nine Eyes. Can we start there?
That's the band that I have the most fun playing in heavy wise, and like I wish we played more. I love that band so much.
Okay, when did you join Nine Eyes? Because obviously, like, there was like an original lineup, and I was looking at photos of the OG lineup like earlier today, and I was just wow. I'm like, everyone's so young. This is so crazy to see them.
It had to have been around the same time that I had joined Two Witnesses.
Okay,
a couple of years back. Lumpy, actually, shout out Lumpy. Kind of got them going again, and it's just I learned the songs quicker than I've learned most songs, and I just have so much fun playing those songs. I feel like it's the band that I'm in right now with that genre that's truest to my style and what I play and my fills and stuff like that. Working on a new record, so anyone who has been wanting that, I've been wanting it just as bad, if not more. We'll hopefully have that out this year. It's going to be an EP, five or six songs or so. Hopefully this year. Everyone else in that band, including me, is super busy, but I'm probably the least busy. So, but we have the songs, so it's only a matter of time.
Okay, that's exciting news because I guess I got lucky for like the first two times that I went to Louisville. Each time Nine Eyes played. And I remember I would always ask Tyler, I'm like, dude, why don't they do more? Like, don't they see what's going on like out in the crowd when they play? Like, this is insane. Like, they're sitting on gold.
Both. I think we've played 2 shows so far. I think 2 and both were like crazy reaction. It's awesome. Like, I love playing that. I love playing that band so much.
Yeah.
I wish they were doing more. I would straight up quit my job at UPS, full benefits, matching 401k to tour in that band full time. Straight up.
All right. Well, hopefully there's a run in the future at some point.
I don't see why not. It's just, it's just really if Isaac wants to do it. I know that most other people in that band are dads and probably wouldn't want to tour. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but a weekend here and there, kind of like how Two Witnesses is doing, would be cool. It'd be cool just to play more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, like the 2 times that I have got to see Nine Eyes, I'm like, I'm just like always, I'm like looking around. I'm like, what is going on? Like, why isn't this more talked about? And obviously it's been around, like it's been a thing for a really long time. But for you guys to bring it back and hopefully become more active, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think in the earlier years before I was in the band, it was, I mean, I could be wrong because I have no idea, but it seems like a lot of it back then was just for fun, and it still is.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when we first got together for a full band practice and we ran through those songs, we were all like, holy shit, like this is how, I remember Isaac saying, this is how it should have sounded since day one. Like, this band is sounding better now than we ever have. And that just lit the flame in my ass like no other to hopefully try to get more stuff going with that band.
All right. Well, EP coming soon.
Yes, hopefully this year.
Okay. And you mentioned Two Witnesses, great band. I feel like I've been a fan of that band for such a long time. Spoiler alert, Mo's coming on the podcast at the end of the month.
That should be a good one.
Yeah, I had a
Shout out
conversation.
Mo.
Yeah, shout out Mo wherever he is. But yeah, had a conversation with him and Tyler at LDB, and it went well. So I'm happy to have him on. At the end of the month, he is. I'm guessing it's going to be a fun conversation because my interactions with him at the fest were great.
Yeah, that man lives and breathes hardcore. Like everyone in Two Witnesses lives and breathes hardcore, I would say, except for me. I'm the odd man out. I'm just happy to be there. A lot of that stuff, if not all of it, was written by Jim. He's the mastermind of it. But yeah, shout out Mo.
Yeah, shout out Mo. I had to pull Tyler aside and ask him because Mo was wearing a Uniform Choice shirt, but he was like drinking beers, and I was like, "Yo, like, is that a bit, or does he actually like Uniform Choice?" And Tyler was like, "No, like Mo loves Uniform Choice. Like that's not a bit." So I was like, "All right, respect," because obviously,
I think it's unintentionally a bit. Like he rides for so many bands, and a lot of them are just happen to be straight edge bands.
Yeah, which to me, like I don't take offense to that. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Okay, and Two Witnesses obviously teamed up with Streets of Hate for the most recent release, which I think is cool because I'm happy that there's record labels that are paying attention to what you guys are doing in Louisville and wanting to work with bands from your area.
Yeah, that is. It's very fortunate. Very fortunate for that one.
And do you guys have any plans? Because I know you guys just played a show the other day, right?
Yeah, it was the Circus show at Spinelli's, which that band is something else. I don't know if you've listened to them, but that was an experience to be able to see them live.
Have not listened to them, but I saw a picture and I thought one of the people in the band was using like a filter because it was on Instagram. So I guess it's like a filter, but then I got informed that no, that's not a filter. That's like real. I'm like, oh
yeah. The vocalist showed up in full clown makeup. Started off the set with a grocery bag over his head or over their head, ripped it off, and they had a little horn the entire time, and they were accenting it with a lot of the drum and guitar parts. And it's like, I guess you could say, for lack of a better description, power violence, but it's something cool. If you get a chance to see them, I would definitely recommend it. They're out there grinding, working hard, playing shows. So check them out if you have the opportunity.
And do you know where they're from?
No idea. No idea.
They're just Circus. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Okay. Well, the main reason I wanted to have you on is because you play in another band called 97 Flood, which is like my new obsession, which I didn't think I would have because most of the time I'll listen to bands and I'll enjoy them and I'll put them on from time to time. But like I'm finding myself listening to places on a side road more than I'm listening to like K-pop, which I'm like, oh, this is
awesome,
this is not good.
I appreciate that so much. Especially I know that as you get older, it's for me at least, it's harder to like find like new releases that you just like, holy shit, I'm listening to this so much, I love it. Like that's how I've been with the new Anxious record.
Okay.
Bambi. That's a good record. I mean, Little Green House is still flawless front to back, but Bambi is really good. It's a cool like new direction that they're going that I really like. Same with One Step Closer's newest record, All You Embrace. They just released a single. I think it's called Jinx. That's really cool. They're going more melodic and chorus, verse based stuff that I really, really like. But I greatly appreciate that, man, because 97 Flood is the band that I do the most, and that's like my baby. So,
oh really?
I greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, listening to it, and I'm not sure if you guys take influence, but like when I'm listening to that EP, it just reminds me of like this band Boys Night Out from Canada, and then this band called North Star. Specifically, they're like Pollyanna record. Like when I listen to your band, like those are the two bands that come to mind. So
yeah, I don't think I've heard of either of those bands, honestly.
Oh, that's even crazier. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
hold on, let me. Let me go and put that on my Spotify real quick. You said one of them is North Star?
Yeah, North Star Pollyanna. Check out that record. That one.
North Star
Yeah, it's like a brown.
Pollyanna.
Yeah, it's like a brown cover.
Copy 2004. That's exactly what we're going for. We're going for, I mean, we obviously, it may not be obvious. I don't want to say obviously. We have a lot of influences from that era. A lot of like Third Eye Blind, a lot of Pianos Become Teeth, a lot of movements, kind of all over the place. Our vocalist loves Radiohead.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some of the best compliments that we've received so far have been, it just gives you that nostalgic vibe. Like it's familiar, but it's also new, which is exactly what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like it so much, because I revisit those two bands like all the time, just because, you know, growing up and like being really into like, you know, emo and alt and that stuff like when I was younger, but like just through the years, like those bands have been able to like hold up and like, you know, keep in my rotation. So when I was listening to 97 Flood, it just kind of just felt like this like long lost band, and I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Massive compliment. Thank you so much, for real.
Yeah, okay.
Appreciate that.
So you say you know, this band is your baby. Like, where does like this whole thing start? Like, where did you get the idea, or how did this all come together?
Previously, we were all playing in a band that was more so like Misery Signals counterparts.
Okay.
So it was a complete 180. The second guitarist, lead guitarist, decided to step away for his job, and we were all kind of left looking at each other like, well, we're not going to stop playing music, so what are we going to do? And we all kind of just left it up to the guitarist, honestly. He's been in a handful of bands from the scene, kind of like that same genre from around like 2016, back when I feel like we had, you know, still had a hardcore scene, but a lot of it was like emo alternative. We still have somewhat of an emo alternative scene, and a lot of younger kids are bringing that back, which I'm super appreciative of, because they're keeping it alive. But we kind of left it up to him, and the songs you hear on Places on the Side Road are the songs that we started off with 3 years ago at this point. Because at the time I was touring with Gates, and that band kind of took, you know, kind of got put it on hold. We were still getting together whenever I was home once a week, sitting in a room playing these same songs and building them up. But once I was no longer in Gates, I was like, all right, well, this is it now. This is what we're going to do. And that's what we've been doing. It's unfortunate how long it took us to put out that record, considering how long we've had the songs, but we're not going to let that happen again. So,
yeah,
because I feel like the songs that we're writing now, we're starting to come into our own. And though I love Places on a Side Road and I love that collection of songs, I feel like people's biggest struggle with our band is not knowing where to put us, because it's not really, it's like, I wouldn't say it's like all over the place, but it's like you can't really, most people from what I've heard can't hear it and immediately pinpoint it to like a certain genre or like bands they would play or go see a show with 97 or something along the lines of that.
You know, you're gonna just have to fit in there with like the bands, because, you know, like in the hardcore bubble, right, there's bands like you mentioned, like Anxious, there's the Koyos, the Statesides. I feel like, you know, that's where you guys fit in. And I know like sonically, like Koyo, Anxious, Stateside, 97 Flood, you guys all sound different, but I feel like the fact that there's like this common, you know, thread of hardcore, I feel like it makes everything okay, and it's not so weird.
Yeah, that pipeline is something that I strive to be a part of. Like, that's like, to be able to be as successful as bands like Koyo and Anxious, and be able to play with heavier bands, but also be able to play with softer bands, to bridge that gap is something that we strive for. I love all those bands. So
yeah, and honestly, I even feel with just the strength of the EP, I feel like you guys have, like, you know, crafted something great, and it doesn't sound like you know, this was like your first go like with a band. Obviously it's not, but like it feels like you guys, like, you know, put a lot of like, you know, care into these songs.
Yeah, this is it's essentially us going back to our roots, because everyone else in the band hasn't done anything musically since 2016, but the influences are still there. And I'm lucky enough to be in a band with a group of guys who have this like have the want, have the need, and also have the same influences with within like a certain realm, and also have strong enough creative aspects to it to bring to the table to make it something different.
Yeah, and obviously, when I think of your scene, I can't think of any other band that sounds like you guys, which can make things hard, but also I feel like it also makes it very special too for you guys to, kind of take that, challenge to do something different and, try to stand out, for better or for worse. But I think you guys are doing a really great job. And I feel like, people might not be able to put you guys in a box with other bands, but I think that's fine because you guys are doing something different, but doing it very well.
I enjoy that aspect of it because nothing is getting handed to us. We've been fortunate enough to get on a couple really cool 502 shows that we seem to fit on, but it's not like people aren't, our numbers aren't crazy from the start. And that just makes the drive that much stronger. I feel like that's going to add to us just staying hungry. That's the main thing that I don't want to ever stray away from as a musician is to just not be hungry anymore, to feel like I've reached a certain level where I can be comfortable, because that's when you stop growing as a musician. It's with any instrument. If you feel like you've learned all there is to learn, you're in a world of trouble. With your growth as a person, with your growth as a musician, there's always something to learn. There's always something to reflect on.
And you put out the first two songs, and then there was like a gap year until like the actual EP came out. Was that intentional?
There's been quite a bit of thought behind the process of the time frame between them, but we didn't want to go that long. I want to sit somewhere between, I would realistically like to sit somewhere between 6 weeks to like 2 to 3 months, depending on how well a release does, to put something else out. The process of recording Places on a Side Road was nothing short of pulling teeth, pulling hair, the most stressful situation. I'm happy with what we got from it, but that was just an extremely stressful situation. We recorded at our buddy Sheets' house, who lives like 20 minutes from me. We used all of his equipment, and then Lane and Joey, our bassist, have been friends forever. They've been in bands throughout the years, and Lane and Joey did all the sound for LDB. Lane has his own audio company, so that's the route we went. But with Lane being from Colorado, he flew in for 1 week. We quickly realized that we were in over our head with just a week, so we had to fly back out. And then once we were finally done, there was so much trouble with sharing files between Lane and Adam that they had to like file like 2 or 3 different claims with whatever program they were using. That took like 2 to 3 weeks each time for them to get the file sharing down. So it was just, I was ready to just throw in the towel and try something else out. But I'm glad that we stuck with it.
100%. And I wonder why when because I watch your music videos, I'm like, wow, why does like some of these guys look familiar? Because I don't know anything besides you. But you said doing sound for LDB. I'm like, okay, maybe that's where the familiarity comes from.
Yeah, Joey.
Okay,
for sure. Shout out Joey.
And I'm curious about the song "How to Disappear Completely" Part 2. Is there a Part 1, or have I just
Part 1 is Part 1's Radiohead.
Oh, okay.
And that was our vocalist Taylor. That was his doing. He absolutely loves Radiohead. So that's where Part 1 is.
See, I'm not a Radiohead guy, so that okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now I got to go look it up.
Not a Radiohead guy either, and I know that a lot of people are thinking, hey, maybe they're going to do something cool and release a Part 1. Sorry, it's not going to happen. So
okay,
yeah.
But I love that he's so down for that he put the reference there. And the music video for that, I feel like that's the most like, fun music video out of the three that you guys have.
Yeah, that one was made to look like shit. Like that was we hit up our friend Matt Schladen, who's a phenomenal photographer. He's done a couple of videos here and there, but he's never worked with a green screen. We were like, fuck it, like let's do a green screen. And like I said, that video was made to look exactly how it looks, and that was the that's the result that you see today. So
and I was paying attention to obviously like the stuff that they filled in behind you guys. And did you guys actually use some like news footage from like the actual 97 flood?
I don't. It's been too long since I've watched that video. I don't think we might have, but I'm not too entirely sure.
Okay, because there were some flooded, there were some flooded scenes, but I couldn't tell if that was actually from like your guys' area or if it was.
There may or may not have been. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to go back and watch that. But yeah, a lot of it was stock footage. I'm sure that when we were storyboarding it, that we definitely wanted some sort of like flood footage in there.
And you had an outfit change
in that one.
Yeah, you had the gloves.
Oh yeah. We were all doing slight, just being goofy. Honestly, just being goofy. Like I put on like Joey had the cowboy hat, and then Taylor, for all of the scenes that you see of his head just floating around, that's him just wearing the green screen around his entire body, and he just funny. Shot it like that. Okay. Yeah, we were just picking up props that we've just found in the house. Just going with what we had.
And curious, do you ever play with gloves live? Is that a thing, or?
I was for a while. When I was recovering from all the health issues, I feel like it helped me not drop sticks. It helped me build my grip strength back up. But there was a 2 Witnesses show that I played at Mag Bar sometime mid to late last year, where I wore the gloves and dropped 5 sticks, and I was like, "That's it. I'm never wearing them again." And since then, I haven't. But I got a lot of compliments wearing them. I was like, "You look badass wearing them." But for me, it was like I feel like I'm using a crutch. Like I feel like I'm not a good enough drummer to justify. Like you see, like drummer for Gojira, Mario, I believe his name is. Like that's a drummer that you see, and you're like, "All right, that makes sense why he's wearing drum gloves, because that dude's a maniac." But for me, it was just, I guess it was just an aesthetic that I used for a while, but also a crutch, and then I just stopped doing it. So,
okay. But
I know, it does help not tear up your hands, depending on the size of the sticks you use and how hard you hit. Because I've been a pretty hard hitter my entire career. I feel like as I get older, I'm starting to not hit as hard, or I'm starting to learn how to pace myself throughout the set to where I'm not gassed after the first or second song. But yeah, it was fun while I was wearing them. Okay.
And have you ever had cardio issues while playing? Like, holy fuck, like how am I going to finish the rest of the set?
Oh yeah. I don't play drums nearly as much as I used to, and that's just another thing that I'm hard on myself about. Even though the room that I'm sitting in right now, I have my drums directly to me to the right. I have the perfect setup, and I'm very lucky to be able to play drums essentially whenever I want, for the most part, and not have to worry about any neighbors. But yeah, I'm more often than not, I'm fighting for my life behind those drums.
That's so funny. I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
I was listening to Hell to Pay, and towards like the like end of the song, I'm like, is that a sample? Like, what the hell is that? So I'm like, listening to it back, and I'm just like, God, I can't understand what the hell they're saying. So I, went to website and like had like the vocals like separated, and come to find out you guys are just, or I think it's you guys are just saying, places on a side road. Or is that you guys?
Yeah, that's Joey had the idea to put that in the bridge of that song, and what you're hearing is just voice memos from all of our phones saying places on a side road, and we gave that to Lane, and he did what he wanted with it. So, and I really like it. So,
Yeah, I was just kind of dumbfounded when I did the
When you figured out
separation.
what it was.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I'm like, man, like because I'm bad when it comes to movies, because like like I don't really watch movies, so I'm always like trying to reference like these samples, trying to figure out like where the fuck does that come from. So I thought this was just like another case of that. Like, okay, this is probably from a movie I've never seen before, but come to find it's just you guys speaking, which was cool. Like, I really think it's cool. So, all right, there's just they're just saying the name of the record, which is cool.
Yeah, that's how we wanted to end the record, and I'm pretty happy with it. I feel like it's a perfect song to send off that EP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still trying to get over how to disappear completely part 2. I feel like just the way I think just like the drums in the beginning of that song just like kind of just amps you up right away, and like I just feel like
that song was that song was written in like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Like I was at practice one day and I was like, all right, this is the type of song I want to write. I want to write the intro was inspired, that drum fill was inspired by Movements on their first EP, Outgrown Things. Let's see. I'm terrible with song names. I should know this.
Movements, they're a local band from here.
Shout out Pat. I don't know any of the other guys, but Pat is the sweetest person. Kept. So there's a little fill at the intro of Kept that goes into the song, and that's what that was inspired by. And then the verses of that song, I was like, I want to write, like, I don't know how familiar with Boston Manor you are, but their first EP, Be Nothing, has a lot of like simple, just really bass and drum heavy verses, and that's what I wanted to do with that. And we kind of just went with it. That song seemed to be not so much of a favorite at first, but it seems to be getting some traction, and that's really cool.
Yeah, no, I like the record front to back. I feel like it's an easy listen, because there's obviously there's records where I'm like, God, I gotta get through this song. Right, or it's just like it's like a roller coaster, right? There's like, all right, like this block is awesome, then there's like this weird and like filler song that I hate, but with your EP it's not like that.
Well, we definitely have a filler song, but I'm glad that you feel that way about it. We definitely do our best to take into consideration the lack of attention span these days, and we try to make sure that if we're going to write a song over 3 minutes, it's gotta be good. Like we can't just be repeating parts. There has to be something cool that we're doing or changing a part for it to be 3 minutes or over, because it's as a newer band, that's like what it makes me think of. Newer bands putting out full lengths. Like I feel like you're wasting money and you're wasting time if you're a newer band that doesn't have a following, and you're spending anywhere from $5 to $10,000 on a collection of 10 songs, and people probably aren't going to be able to get to the end of it, or unfortunately aren't going to care enough.
Yeah, because you gotta to put out a full length. That's a big undertaking, and you got to come with some good material to want to keep people around.
Yeah, you got to write like 25 songs at least, and then pick the best. And even then, sometimes it's not enough.
Yeah, because even some of my favorite bands, I'm like, this is okay. This is okay. I like the full, like 2 full lengths ago, that was perfect. But
yeah, that's how I feel about no. Once again, No Good Left to Give by Movements. That record is perfect front to back. I mean, and of course, Feel Something. That record's perfect front to back.
I worked at this merch company that did their merch like during that period of Movements, and so I got to like experience that and get to see them live a bunch of times. It was cool. But they're
good band.
Yeah, they're huge now.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. So the EP has been out for a bit, which is cool. But you sent me a video. Is it okay to talk about that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sent me a video of I don't know if you're like demoing or just playing like parts of a new song.
Yeah, we're I think we have 3 or 4 songs. We're gonna start recording something or doing pre-pro next month. Hopefully have something out by probably October. That's the goal. So
Okay. And another EP or just like a 2-song promo or
I'm not too entirely sure. Depending on how fast we can get it out, it might just be 2 songs.
Mhm. And are you guys all local or is the one guy still far away?
Yeah, we're all local. We're all within city limits. I think everyone's commutes like 20 minutes to my house, which is where we practice. So it's really not that bad.
Okay, so your place is like headquarters for the band.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
You know, the few times I've been to Louisville, like geographically, I'm like, I don't know where I'm at because like Tyler just drives us around everywhere, and even I got to hang with Dave Bogger on my last day, and he was like driving me around, and he's like, all right, we're going to the Highlands, and he's like saying all these places, and I'm like, I don't know where anything is. Like
Yeah.
I'm so lost.
I feel like with most cities, it's just neighborhoods. It's definitely not that big of a city, but I could definitely see not knowing it being like this is like you have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know where we're going, but let's go and let's have a good time.
Well, everything just looks so different compared to California. I'm like looking around.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, there's like all these shops, and then like there's literally like a neighborhood behind it.
Yeah,
It's so weird. I'm like, because it's not like that out here. Like things are like so separate. It's weird.
I've a couple friends that live out there and have lived out there, and definitely doesn't seem like it's something for me. I definitely wouldn't want to have to spend most of my day commuting somewhere. That's for sure. I'm very happy with where I live.
Yeah, it has it's like pros and cons, but you know, like I'm like these days I don't like to go out at all. Like the only time I'm going out is if like there's like friends in town, you know, from out of town, or if I'm going to a show, or if I'm going to like the K-pop store. But outside of that, like when I was younger, like when I first moved to Orange County, I was wanting to go out and go mingle and go see the city. But it's like, dude, I've been here for so long where I'm just like, all right, I've seen it all. You know, pretty much done it all, and I'm good. I just like to come home and just be away from everything.
Which is in my opinion how it should be. I'm the exact same way. I love spending most of my time at home. If I'm going to go out, it's going to be to see friends or to go see a band that I want to see and see friends as well. There are a few exceptions, but more often than not, I'm staying home.
Yeah. The moment I realized like this guy has to be like a chill dude was at the pre-show this year. I went behind the LDB record table to grab my tote bag, and I come to find out that somebody had knocked over Ashton's coffee and spilled all over my bag. It got over all these records, and Tyler's freaking out, and you were just there, just like kind of making jokes about it. And I was like, all right, this guy is just like
it spilled on one of the Two Witness records.
Yeah,
and I said, well, at least there was a Two Witness record and not anything else. Well, he was just having a fucking he was crashing out.
Yeah, he was like losing his shit, and you were just so calm and just like not taking it serious. I'm like, wow, this guy's so funny. Because I felt bad for him because obviously, he's getting on the records. And then I was just trying to get the fuck out of there because I was just so irritated that like, dude, like my first of all, like my tote bag got soaked, but then like the electronics I had inside were like covered in coffee. So I'm like, all right, I got to go outside and wipe everything down and hope that everything's okay. And it was fine. My tote bag still smells like coffee. I lost one of my batteries. Maybe Tyler will find it one day and he can return it to me. It's probably in his truck somewhere. So
probably.
Yeah, because I didn't really.
I'd say so.
Yeah, but
these past couple of years with the whole getting sick and being really sick and in and out of the hospital and things happening that are just out of my control, whether I want them to happen or not, has taught me to not let the things that I can't control me. And that's been the most important thing that I've learned within the past couple of years. So I feel like that's where that may have come from, or I just may have been just joking around, trying to have a good time, trying to make light of the situation, essentially. which doesn't always work out, but I try.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. In my mind, I'm always like, it could always be worse.
Yes.
You know.
And some people are like, "Don't you dare fucking say that to me!" Like, what do you mean it could always be worse? Like, help me deal with this, what I'm going through right now, which I understand, but I definitely have the same perspective. Like, it could always be worse. When it rains, it pours. There's always something that's going to happen. Don't let it control you.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, I'm like so focused on like my trip to Korea at the towards the end of the year, like all year, like the second I got back to America from my last Korea trip, which was my first trip to Korea, like the second I got back, I was like, all right, like I'm gonna do everything that I can to just focus on getting back to Korea. Anything that happens between now and me getting back to Korea, it'll be fine. Bad things happen, like it won't be the end of the world, because I know that in October I'll be back in Korea. So that's like helped me just kind of get through some shit this year, which is kind of funny because it's probably hard for some people to understand, like how like something like that could just give me enough energy and strength to get through like a lot of bullshit. But it's like, no, that thing was just like life changing, like going out there, and I just want to experience it again.
And end goal will make you realize how much you're willing to put up with, and how much small things that happen on a daily basis really don't matter.
Yeah, and
like as long as it's not life changing, as long as you're waking up above the dirt, you have a place to call home, you have friends, you have a support system. There's not really much to complain about. I mean, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to complain about things and stress about things and work your way through them, but it's just better just to have that perspective and that point of view on life.
Yeah, there was like this really low moment in my life, and I was way younger, so like it wasn't like high stakes. But when I can't remember how old I was. I had been like definitely out of high school, definitely out of college. So like maybe like early 20s. No, I mean, maybe I was like 18, 19. I remember I was unemployed and I could not find a job. And luckily, like I was living at home with like my parents, so they were fine because we get along. We have a great relationship, so they didn't mind that I was living there. But it got to the point where like I could not find a job, to save my life, and like I was applying everywhere, just getting turned down. And it got to the point where my mom was like, "Hey, like, do you want some money? Do you want to go out to do something?" Because I would just stay cooped up in my room playing Fallout 3. Like Fallout 3 literally saved my life. Like that's all I did for like the longest time. And I remember there was like these moments where I was like, dude, I would do anything just to be able to make money. So anytime like these days, like when I'm down or I start to not appreciate what I have, I think back to those days where I was just like, just listening to the Three Dog Radio and just dreaming of just like, how life could be better. But I'm just like cooped up, just like poor and hating myself and just embarrassed that I just didn't really have anything to show for.
I've definitely been there. Super depressive state, just living day by day, not really thinking about your future. Not, I didn't think that I would live to be 31. I didn't care. Like I just treated my body like shit. Just went through the motions of a day-to-day life. And I reached the age where we're like, holy shit, I'm still here. I should probably start thinking about my future. But yeah, I had many years where I was just mass applying for jobs and I couldn't get a single job, and the job that I would get wasn't anything like like it was advertised as, but I just had to put up with it until I found something else. Yeah, it's just that's also another thing that helps, to just think about how far you've come and how far you have to go, essentially.
Yeah, life is definitely interesting. I would find myself these days trying to try to enjoy things in real time, like even like just like the littlest things, like when I'm like, when I go to a show and I haven't or like I run into a friend who I haven't seen in a long time, I'm just like, dude, like this is awesome. Like I don't know when I'll see you again, so like I want to savor like every moment that we have here. It might sound weird, it might sound crazy, but it's just like, no, like, like I'm getting older. Who knows where we're gonna be? Who knows when I'll see you again? So like, yeah, like I always try to like, in like when I go do stuff, I always try to like, all right, I always got to remind myself like, hey, like let's try to enjoy this because who knows?
Yeah,
like,
and then,
we'll get to do it again.
and the older you get, the more you experience loss, which is something that it's kind of hard not to think about it. It's kind of hard to look away from that. So yeah, it's very important to like enjoy and really be present in the situation when you can spend time with the people that you love. But at the same time, it's also very important to be comfortable spending time by yourself, like going out to eat by yourself, going to shows by yourself. I feel like that's something that personally I couldn't do for the longest time. I just like wasn't okay with spending time by myself. And as I've gotten to know myself, as I've gotten older, I've learned to really enjoy that, and that's put a whole new perspective on life.
100%. I love being able to show up on my own time, leave, and not have to wrangle up
nothing like a good old Irish goodbye too. Like,
yeah, just like, see ya.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, and I love being alone because that means I get to go on my computer, log into Final Fantasy 14, and obviously I have friends there, but like they're not my real friends. Like I'm in a guild. Like I'll go on Discord and I'll talk to these people that I've never even met, and I'll probably never ever meet. But like we all just love logging into this virtual world and hanging out. It's so weird because like I didn't know if I would hang out with these people in real life, but we all just spend so much time together in this virtual world and just talking on Discord. It's so strange because like none of them they don't even know what hardcore is, and I don't even want to talk to them about hardcore. It's just fun to be able just to talk about how do I become a better healer, just shit like that.
Yeah, you're all there for pretty much the same goal, and you're all enjoying the same thing, and that's why you're all there.
Yeah, but being alone, it's cool. I have such a backlog of video games. I'm a video game nerd, by the way, so like that's just like what I do in my spare time. Like recently I had this long-term goal of like reaching master rank in Street Fighter 6, which is like, it's not the highest rank, but like once you're in master rank, like you can't lose rank anymore. You're in a whole new league, and there's like
okay,
so it just means you're I say decent at the game. But it was challenging because I'm like literally, not by choice, but like the character that I use is the worst character in the game, just based off of like all like the updates and balances and shit. I just got unlucky, but there's new characters coming, so hopefully I can find a new character to drive with. But the fact that growing up, I used to get beat by my cousin in Street Fighter, and then in my friend group I was like the worst at Street Fighter, but then just wanting to be good at it, I just grinded and had to watch a lot of YouTube to learn. And the fact that like my friends who play Street Fighter, there's only one guy, shout out Jordan, he's the singer of this band called Encased. He's like the only one that I know that's good at Street Fighter. He's also master rank. He has a master rank guile. He's really good, but like all my other friends who play Street Fighter, they don't even, like, they play Street Fighter, but they don't actually play it because they don't like, actually like play it the right way. So it's not fun playing with them, but it's just something like that I just have been working on for so many years, and I feel like it's like taking me like generations of Street Fighter, because like Street Fighter 4 is like where I started to take the game serious, but I wasn't good. And then Street Fighter 5 is where I started to gain some skill. And then I feel like right now Street Fighter 6 is where I'm like finally being able to like see like the fruits of my labor for playing this game for so long. It's insane.
I'd say I'm the complete opposite. I grew up with a sister that is 4 years older than me, and she took the route that you're at, like absolutely is engulfed by video games. I mean, I played a little Counter-Strike when I was younger. I played a lot of the classics on Super Nintendo, but I was tired of fighting her for the console. I was like, you know what, fine, like you can have it. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna go do something else. But I got a Switch a couple years back. I've been playing some of the Batman games. Those have been really fun. I played Arkham City. What's the other two? I got the trilogy. I played night and then city and then no asylum and then city. And I think I'm about to play night after this, but that's like the most video games that I play. I have a hard time giving myself the time to sit down and just disconnect from the world. And I feel like I feel like I got that somewhat from my grandmother. I get up and I feel like I got to do something. Like I got to clean. Like there's always something to do around the house. And I feel like I just can't. I'm just not wired like that. Unfortunately, I wish I was sometimes because I have so many friends that do play. And they're like, man, hop on the Discord. Let's play Fortnite. Let's do all this. And I'm just like, not for me. But have fun doing it.
Yeah, I have to like tell myself, I'm like, all right, if we click play, it might get a little squirrely. We gotta remember that there's real life. I was playing. I was playing this like sim game, right, where like I created a character and I was like living in this city. I got a job. I got a girlfriend. I got married. We moved in together, and the day we moved in together, I was like, this is too much. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
I'm way too invested.
Yeah, no, I'm not even kidding. Because like I would come home and like it's like a simulation. So it's not like I'm not like living like actual like full on hours in the game, but like it's some pretty significant time. And like I'm like Monday through Friday, I'm working at this like K-pop entertainment company, and then like I'm spending like hours just like I'm just here like I'm managing this fucking character's life, and I'm going on dates in the park. I gotta go develop marketing strategies for this new up and coming group and all this shit. And I'm just like, what am I doing? Like this is just really strange. So I logged out. I haven't played in like a month.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I can't. That's something that I can't knock. If that's how you want to. If video games is how you choose to spend your time, then more power to you. But the only time that I can do it is if I wake up like super early on an off day and spend no more than 3 hours in the morning. Like I have friends that I'm like, hey, like I have friends that I work with. I'm like, hey, like how was your weekend? What'd you do? And they're like, spent like 6 hours playing this game on Sunday or on Saturday. And I'm like, you spent 6 hours like sitting in a, like how like. I'm just not wired like that.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I guess I have too much anxiety, and there's always something on my mind that I feel like I need to be doing other than playing video games.
Yeah, luckily like I'll try to like take care of all like my responsibilities first. Mm-hmm. I'll try to like just knock it all out, and I'm like, okay, all right, I have time to just be a piece of shit.
I almost wish that I could decompress like that. Because it seems I would much rather do that than get stuck like doom scrolling on my phone. I have a hard time getting into shows as well. I've been watching Severance, which has been interesting.
Okay.
I tried the White Lotus. Couldn't do it. There's something about I watched like 3 or 4 episodes and I realized that this show is every season, from what I've heard from people and what I've experienced, is like 6 to like 8 episodes of character building, and then 3 crazy ass episodes as it all unfolds. And I'm just like, I don't got time for all that. Like, I watched the first season of The Last of Us. I watched 2 episodes into the first season, and kind of just haven't gone back to it. That's like my red flag, or like my beige flag, if you want to call it, when it comes to watching shows. Like I'll just give up like halfway through like a 3rd or 4th season. Like I watched like 5 or 6 seasons of Suits, and I was like, I'm bored of this. I'm just not going to go back to it.
Yeah, that's the thing that I have like commitment issues when it comes to TV shows and movies. Is just like I don't want to start a new show because I know it's more likely that I'm not going to finish this. So like let me just save myself the time. I don't want to just waste it watching the show that I know that I'm not going to finish. And
I have a hard time watching things that like make me feel uncomfortable or make me feel things. As dumb as that sounds, it's like I'm more so like comfort shows or shows that I can just put on and don't have to be fully invested in. Mm-hmm. But there are a handful of shows out there that really got me. There's one called Shrinking on Apple TV.
Okay.
with Harrison Ford and Jason Sudeikis. No, wait. I don't know. I think I know it's got Harrison Ford in it, but it's their therapists that essentially need to work through their own shit, which is really like heartfelt episodes that are really good. But I grew up watching stupid shit like Viva La Bam and all that, like classic MTV stuff.
Yeah, no, that shit was awesome. Jackass
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, I still my like show that I still watch from MTV is like Catfish.
Yo, like that's a show that I will come back to and get invested in. Like, give me the tea, please. Like the scene that I saw recently that's still probably one of my favorite scenes is when they catch the guy who's pretending to be a girl on the internet, and Neve is like, so like you've been luring this guy away from his wife and kids, pretending to be a girl. He's like, have you ever considered the fact that like you might be gay? And he's like, no, why? And he goes like further into it on like what he's been doing, and he goes, you got me there. And I'm just like, this show is insane.
You know, for a while, they Neve would kind of do these podcasts where he would kind of just you basically be listening to the audio from the show, but they would like have segments where he'd be really descriptive, so he's kind of like painting the picture for you, and then they would just play the audio from the show. And that was like my favorite thing for the longest time, because I'm like, this is like right up my alley. But then it just like abruptly stopped, so I'm just like, all right, this is
getting like the director's cut of it.
Yeah, and it's just like a more like digestible version of it, because it's like, you know, obviously it's like a little bit shorter, and like they get like really descriptive. It was just another fun way to kind of just consume it, because like when I'm at work, I can't just be watching videos, so the fact that I could just listen to it just was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, that show's great.
100%.
That's such a good one.
Yeah, with TV shows, honestly, like most days I'm like, I'll put on a K-drama just to kind of feel something, because you know, I spent a lot of time trauma dumping with my buddy Jeff, Feet First, shout out Jeff. I'll call him and just trauma dump, and you know, he's great.
It's important you have a friend like that. Yeah, it's very important to have a friend like that.
Yeah, he's great at listening to all like the random weird shit that I have to say, and it's fine. But then sometimes I'm like, man, like I wonder if I'm like capable of like emotion. So I'll like put on like a good K drama. I'm like, all right, no, it's still there. I'm not
like I forgot it. It reminds me of, do you watch It's Always Sunny?
No, I've never seen it.
Yo, that's one that I highly recommend. There's an episode with one of the characters, Dennis, where he's like, I don't remember the premise of it, but I just remember the one scene where he's talking to Mac, and he goes like, I'm starting to feel things. It's like, he's like, do you know what I'm talking about? And he's like, and Mac goes, yeah, feelings, I have them all the time, dude. And he's like, I'm starting to like be happy or feel sad about things. I think it's when the episode where Charlie's mom makes everyone think that she has cancer, and like Charlie tells Dennis, and he's like, oh man, like that's like obviously being extremely disingenuous about it, like not feeling anything. But no, I highly recommend that show. That's a good you can kind of just put it on. You don't really have to be invested. Every episode is a different scenario rather than like a storyline.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I've been recommended that show so many times, but I'm just like,
it's such a good one.
Yeah, I gotta just buckle down and just watch it one day.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. That's one of my rotating ones for sure.
Okay, and I'm curious about that room that you're in. You mentioned like obviously like your drum set behind you. I watched you film some like drum stuff. Is that all filmed like right back there?
Yeah. So I'll pick up the laptop.
Okay.
There it is, right there. So yeah, it's a full wide open sunroom that I absolutely love.
Yeah,
I can just look out in the backyard and just ponder life while I play drums.
Now, are there like any like tint on those windows, or is it?
No, not really. There was, when we first moved in, there were blinds, but they were super old and super heavy, and they were just absolutely disgusting. So we took them down, and it's just we've kind of just left it open since then. I mean, there's not much. I mean, there's the neighbor to the left can like kind of see, but he's like super chill and never like creepy. And then the one to the right, there's a tree line that's blocked off. So I mean, it's pretty private.
Okay, because I'd be paranoid about somebody watching me.
Yeah, sometimes walking in here at night if I need to get something, or like if I left my like EAD on from like playing drums, I'm like I definitely get that. I definitely get that feeling.
Yeah, it's like, all right, here's a perfect start to a horror movie.
Yeah. But more often than not, it's probably just a deer or a fox or a raccoon or something.
Oh, there's somebody in the background right now. I can't tell.
Huh?
You probably can't see them, but looks like a child.
Oh yeah, that's my neighbor's to the left. He's his kids are in school right now, so since he's been so helpful. All right, so my experience with neighbors in the past has been nothing but like nightmarish, like nightmare fuel. Just like people who don't know how to mind their own business, always up in your business, wondering what you're doing, trying to get the tea on how your life's going. And then I moved in, and this guy comes from like the background of having neighbors where they all have like block parties, and they're all like, "Yo, do you need anything? Like, can I help you with anything? You doing all right?" So it took a while to get used to, but since he's been such a good neighbor and such just all around good person, I respect that he asked me to stop playing drums at 7:30 during the school year so his kids can go to sleep. Because me, 10 years ago, I'd be like, "Fuck them kids, I don't care. I'm gonna play my drums."
Yeah,
but I guess that's what happens when you get older. So
that's cool. You're considerate of your neighbors since they've been nice.
Yep.
Earlier, you sent me some demos. Is that fair to say, of something that you're working on?
Yeah, those are pretty close to being fully mixed. We haven't decided who we want to send off to mastering yet. We asked Randy LaBeouf. He doesn't do any outside, or he doesn't do any outsource mastering. So if he's gonna master, he's gonna do like all the engineering and everything on it. But that stuff, I joined that project probably closer to a year now. All those dudes came from somewhat of like a deathcore project that was fairly cool, not my cup of tea. And I've been doing my best to add a hardcore influence, but with really cool or really creative parts on drums to like spice it up. But I mean, they're all really good at what they do.
Okay, that was what I was trying to get to. Is, do you play the drums? I just imagine you were doing vocals or something.
No, yeah, I play drums in that project. I do a little bit of vocals in '97 throughout places on the side road, but it's all screams. It's all like heavy vocals. There's a couple parts that I do in that project, but the songs are so intricate that like I could do it, but I'm not trying to put myself through all that. So I just focus on the drums on that project.
And is there a name? Can you share the name? Or
I'm so terrible. That's like my biggest. I'm so terrible at like coming up with band names. It took 97 Flood. It took us coming up with the band name for our guitarist to just book a show under that name. Like that was one of the 3 or 4 names that we were like, we don't hate it, but we can do better. And then one day I woke up to a Facebook event that I'd been invited to that was like 97 Flood, and I was like pissed off for like 30 minutes. And then after that, it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. Like I don't understand how so many people can just easily come up with cool band names. Like one of the working titles just to call it something was Host Disorder, but I absolutely hate it. So
I'm glad you didn't pick that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's been the general consensus of people that I've told. They've been like, dude, that's ass.
Yeah, I think 97 Flood has a cool sound to it, but I like that it has to do with something that where you're from. Like there's some lore to it.
That's the main thing. And then Flood of 72 title fight song. That's like collectively one of our biggest influences. Like bands that that's a band that we all love.
Dude, I love Title Fight. I love Wilkes-Barre. I have some really good friends from there, and I have a buddy who lives in 40 Fort, and on the side of his house, he has a chimney, and there's like you can see the water line from that flood. And I was like, holy fuck!
Jeez.
Like standing in your yard, we would be underwater, like definitely underwater,
buried. Yeah, buried.
Crazy. And it's crazy. His house, the house that he had, survived that shit. I'm like, this is
that's
crazy.
is it brick or was it wood or what?
Yeah,
brick.
Yeah. So crazy.
It makes sense.
Yeah, but love title fight. They'll be back, hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know.
Yeah, great band.
Man, Hyperview seems like such a long time ago.
Dude, that I remember.
It's like,
go ahead.
It's like I kind of just forgot about it, and then like years later, I thought about it and could remember so much from that time frame from when that record came out, and it made me realize how important that record was to me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people weren't ready for it.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
I think if I had been more into the earlier years of Title Fight at the time, I'd been like, "What the hell is this?" But I was like, just getting into him, and I was like, "Yo, this record's badass." It sounds like it was all recorded underwater. Like it sounds like you can hear like the wave files and all that other crazy shit. Like listening to that record on vinyl was cool.
Yeah, I was able to see them for the first time at Sand and Fury 2009, and I'd heard of them before that, but I was so young, and I could never travel for shows, and at that point, they had never been to California, so for them to finally make it out west, I was on board, from that very moment. Like I'll never forget, like before they even started playing, some guy like stage dove like crazy. He like did like the highest front flip ever to like no music, and I'm like, all right.
Like as they were ringing out or what?
They didn't even start ringing out. They were just I think they had just kind of like all like were ready to play, but they hadn't even started. And like this guy stage dove, and like that just has like stuck with me for so long. And I was like, all right, like I in that very moment, I knew, I'm like, all right, it's gonna go down. Like this band's gonna be crazy.
You said that you like knew of them, but you weren't really listening to them at that point.
No, I'd never seen them at that point because
okay,
yeah, because I'd seen videos and stuff on MySpace. This was like MySpace back then, but they had never been out west. So when they finally made it out, that was like literally like one of like my favorite summers ever.
Yeah, that's a band that I severely bummed that I wasn't able to see for sure.
Just stick around.
It's like it makes me think of Rotting Out did that tour with The Story So Far and Stick to Your Guns like 2017, 2018, I think. And at the time I was super into Stick to Your Guns and Rotting Out, but I'd never seen or listened to The Story So Far. And after I saw that, I really got into him, and I don't think I've seen him since, which is crazy. Like that band I don't like absolutely love that band. That band's really good.
They are really good. I was first time I saw that band, I caught them like after they blew up. They played a venue out here called the Glass House. They were on tour with the Wonder Years. Like Under Soil and Dirt had just come out. So I feel like I was able to catch them at a cool time.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to think. I don't know what era that I would have seen them in, but they were definitely playing all those songs. The Wonder Years is a band that I just recently saw at Ohio is for Lovers, and that band is phenomenal live.
Yeah, they just put out I think the record came out today. It was kind of like redone versions of like old songs and some new songs. Yeah, I feel like for me being such like a pop punk fan, like they're like a timeless band, because like I remember getting to see them like on their first tour to California, and way different vibe back then versus now, but always been great. Love that band.
Yeah, I think it came out today, Burst and Decay Volume 3. Yeah, it looks like a bunch of like reimagined songs and stuff like that. It looks pretty cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. If you're a fan of the band, you'll definitely like the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, this has been awesome.
It has been. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be able to have like more people on from your area, because so far it's only been Tyler, Jim, and Dave Bogger. So now you're number 4. You add to that list.
Hell yeah.
Mo will be on very shortly, and who knows, maybe in the future. Shout out Y from Gargoyle. I love Gargoyle.
She's great.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that she was able to start a band again. It had been so long since a Transgression that I hadn't necessarily forgot how much energy she has live, but I kind of like put it in a storage locker. So when I heard about Gargoyle coming back, got to see them live, I was like, it just made me so happy for her. So happy.
Yeah, I was excited because I remember leading up to the showcase, because I was gonna go regardless, but leading up to it, I was asking Tyler, I'm like, what's up with the Gargoyle? He's like, just wait, and then
so sick.
Then they dropped the demo, like
City Is Mine.
Yeah, like literally like right before, like was it like the day before or a couple of days before,
something like that, maybe 48 hours at most.
Yeah, and then just to see so many kids going off at the show, I'm like, all right, this band has it. This band's so fucking sick.
So sick.
Yeah.
Shout out Y.
Shout out Y. Yeah. So I just am such a fan of your guys' scene, and I love having people on from your area. So I really appreciate you being down to do this. But before we sign off, is there anything else you would like to say?
No, I appreciate you having me. I'm still pretty new to podcast and talking and like interviews and stuff like that. So hopefully you got some good stuff. Hopefully I answered anything that you wanted to know. And I greatly appreciate you making 97 the main focal point and how much you dig that band. Sometimes you just need to hear it. So thank you so much.
No problem. Well, thank you, Jared. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate your time. We'll be back soon. Goodbye.